Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday session. It's been a while, but we're back and we're here. And this evening, I have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine, Jonathan Alden. And hopefully, Jonathan will join us in the room. He is here and he has sent a request. Here we go. Hello, Jonathan. Are you there? Hey!
Hello, lovely man. How are you?
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Please excuse me. I'm having a coffee and I've got some bickies as well.
Oh,
I'm
why
taking
not?
it very chill, very
You
chill.
relax.
Yeah. And before we start, I must say, I'm down by the seaside. So if you hear seagulls, that is why.
Oh, I lived in Swansea for 4 years, so I'm used to the the sound of seagulls. I'm right by a main road here, and there's lots of people talking, so you might hear that as well.
Well, we will just cope with it. We'll
We
roll with
will.
it. Yeah. So how are you doing? How is tour?
Tour is good. Yeah, we're halfway through now, so
Mm.
we're on a week off, and then we start down in Southampton on Monday, and we have 19 weeks straight through without a break now. Until we get to Canterbury. And then there's a little, I think a week break or 2 weeks break. And then we go over to Europe again, to finish the tour off.
Wow, you people are machines. You are machines. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's going to be good though, but it's been great so far. We've seen some amazing places. We've just come back from, Frankfurt and Berlin. Earlier in the year, we went to, where did we go to? Zurich and Munich. And,
wow.
we're going over to Belfast soon. We're going to Dublin. We're going up to Edinburgh, Glasgow, all the way down to Plymouth. So we're definitely, covering the country.
Wow, you're everywhere. So
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know from my posts, Jonathan and I were at drama school together
We were.
at GSA, and I was counting the years. Jonathan, we've
Yeah,
known
let's
each
leave that.
other. We've known each other 21 years now.
Is it 21?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
2005.
yeah, it was. Yeah, 21 years. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Over half of my life.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, could you give us a brief rundown of your illustrious career, because it is, since you and I graduated from drama school? So talk us through like the highlight reel of what you've done in the last 15 years.
Wow. Okay. So I think my first job out of drama school was Joseph, the UK tour, and I was playing Ruben, the eldest brother. And that was for about 9 months. I went straight on from that near enough onto the 25th anniversary tour of Les Mis, the
Yeah.
UK and Ireland tour. And we also did Paris, and then we did the O2 concerts, as well as the Olivier's and the album. It was a great year to do it.
Yeah.
I lucked out with that one. And then I did a few smaller bits. So I did a couple of productions of Oliver. I did a tour around Europe called Musical Star Nights, which was like a compilation show of musicals, like best of musicals, basically. So I was
Yeah.
playing anything from Valjean to The Phantom to Edna from Hairspray, coming on with a wig and a beard with a string, and you know the Germans seem to love that.
I think
And
you're versatile, Jonathan. That's what they call
yeah,
versatile,
so
isn't it?
yeah, the beard's not, but it was. It gave it away, but it was yeah. And then I did Rock of Ages over on a cruise ship for Norwegian Cruise Line, playing Dennis. I did the UK tour of Billy Elliot, playing Big Davy and covering George and the Dad. I did a concert of Phantom of the Opera over in Guernsey, and obviously now doing this. I was cast to be Old Deuteronomy and Cats on the international tour as well, starting in China, but a little thing called COVID stopped that one.
Oh, of course.
So
Yeah.
that never happened. Yeah, and then in between that, just little bits like, pantos and some adverts and things like that. So yeah, and I've had a couple of mini career breaks as well to sort of take a step back, and obviously the enforced one of
Yeah.
COVID, but a couple of other ones as well.
Yeah. So it's fair to say that your career has taken you everywhere. You've been down in London, you've been on cruise ships, you've toured,
Yeah,
you've been
Dubai. Yeah, yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's incredible. I was
Wow.
thinking that the other day actually, because it's a lot of the places I've seen have been due to this career. You know, I've been to Dubai and Italy and Poland, Norway, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, France,
Yeah.
and then all of that. You know, the Caribbean and bits of America, and so yeah, so it's
Yeah.
amazing, really.
So that's the lovely thing with this job, that we get to go to all these
Yeah,
places, and
yeah.
luckily someone else is paying for us to go there, which
I
is
know.
normally really good.
That's the thing you realise. You think, God, I'm actually being paid to be here. This is quite good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
So at the moment, you're on tour with the Bodyguard musical,
Yeah.
as you said.
Mm-hmm.
So having done this whole varied plethora of shows, how has, and this is the main subject I wanted to talk to you about, the rehearsal process. How
Yeah.
has the rehearsal process for you changed over the years? Has there been a change? Are things different now to what they used to be like?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's lots of differences personally and in general in terms of, you know, within the productions themselves. And
Yeah.
obviously, you know, everything is very production and company specific as well. Like lots of different companies do things different ways, and different types of theatre work differently. But I think when I was younger, even before our days in drama school, I would maybe turn up to a rehearsal not really having done much in terms of character work, and sort of thinking that I would find it in the room, or be guided by the director or whatever it was. And I think that's something I've learned over the years, is that, you know, you have to come with some kind of ideas and a starting point, or a feeling of who your character is. Because I think, especially in musical theatre, you expect when you're young and naive and getting into the industry, that you're going to have all this time to work on character and intention and this and that. And actually, you don't get a lot of time in the room to do a lot of that work. It's I mean, I've been quite lucky with things like Billy and Les Mis, that we had like 5 to 7 weeks of rehearsal, which is quite a long time for musical theatre. But that 5 to 7 weeks is split between, you know, the acting department, so the director blocking and just sort of getting the skeleton of where you need to be. You've got the, you know, the choreography, and then you've got to learn the music, and then you've got the wigs and wardrobe, and they want to sort of see you for the fittings and things. And then you have your little bits where the producers come in and stuff. So actually the time to sit there and work on character and all that stuff just isn't really there a lot of the time, especially in musical theatre as well, because often it's about hitting your number and hitting the light and get in time with the music and stuff. And, you know, I've been really lucky having some absolutely amazing directors in my career so far that have been really great at working with us on that. And, you know, the current directors we've got on this, on the Bodyguard, you know, just are brilliant, you know, and our resident, Mark Hodges, he comes in with us a lot. Yeah, he's fantastic. You know, even the sort of depth of character he tries to give you, it's amazing. But I think that's the thing I've learned over the years, is to come with some ideas, come with something that you think you see in the character or within the thing, and then the director can shape that or reject it or whatever it is. But I think if you come with just wanting to be told what to do, and I think that's when I was younger, I had a bit of I've just recently been diagnosed with ADHD, which I sort of discovered a few years ago I thought I might have. And one of those things I think you get with ADHD is that feeling of that you're always in the wrong. Like you're going to be getting it wrong, you know. And I don't know if you felt this from drama school, but there's a couple of classes we had where I felt like it was a bit of a yes, no, you did it right, you did it wrong kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Rather than a let's try it, let's see what works, let's play. It became a, you know, have you ticked a box this week, or
You
have
can
you
either do it or you can't. And there were some teachers that were very much like, they set you up really for you to then give it a shot, and then if you didn't do it, they never explained what went wrong. They just move on to the next person. You're like,
yeah, exactly. And I remember a particular class where it was set up at the beginning to be, this is a class to try something maybe against type and play, and then you bring something and it'd be, it's not really for you, that song. You're like, I know, that's why I've done it. It's kind of, and it didn't, yeah. So you had that kind of vibe sometimes. And I think that especially in musical theatre, when you're doing kind of quite established shows that have been around for a long time, you kind of think you've got to fit into the mold, which you do to a degree. But I think I've learned as you've got older to go into the rehearsal room and just bring a lot of yourself into it if you can. And I think that's a hard lesson sometimes, because I don't know if you had this as well, James, but I used to kind of see in my mind's eye what the character was and who they were. But I wasn't really looking at an image of myself. I was looking at an image of what I thought the character looked like and who he was. And rather than me as the character. And I've learned to try and look at me as the character rather than I'd be thinking of a completely different actor. And then I'd be feeling like I was always falling short, not really giving I'm not, whatever it is. And, so now I'm trying to so for example, with Tony that I'm playing at now in the Bodyguard, the guy that plays it in the film, which is like the source material, is so if you remember him, he was also in Dumb and Dumber. He's the guy that sits in between them and they go, Mockingbird, yeah. He's the one going, guys, there's that one. And, he's got a very distinctive kind of like, New Jersey Italian kind of mafia look and stuff. And I don't really look like that, but it's kind of, I've got the sort of stature, I think, but not the look. And I just kind of had him in my mind. I had to sort of erase him from my mind and become my own Tony. And that took a little while, I think it's difficult in rehearsals. You go in there. I think sometimes you go in there expecting, putting pressure on yourself to be the finished article from the word go. As you're, and that's also a trap, I think you can fall in because nobody is,
So what about first day of rehearsals? Do you get the jitters on a first day on a new job?
Yeah, I think everyone does really. I think it's that first sort of meet and greet, the first time you're going to say the words out loud if you do a read through with everyone else, hoping the accent you've been working on comes out or something, or you don't stumble your because, everyone's kind of sussing each other out a little bit. And you've often got people that you've worked with before there. You think, okay, I know you and I know, great. But you're sort of thinking, it's that imposter syndrome, isn't it? You get cast to do it and you turn up on the first day and your demon in your head goes, they're going to go, why we've made a mistake there. Why have we, and you hear, some stories like that, don't you? But it's just kind of, so you get the nerves and the jitters. But I think as you go through your career, as you get older, you have to rely on your experience and what you've done and kind of talk to yourself and remember you're there for a reason. They cast you for a reason. And, everyone's on a different journey in a rehearsal process anyway. Some people get it off the bat and some people grow through it. And so you just got to try and be kind to yourself. But it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. That's a really good piece of advice there. And so after we finish our chat today, I'm going to go back through the Sunday sessions that I've done and break them down into little sections that we can put out, just so people have got these little bits of little nuggets that they can listen to. Yeah. So that's the first day in rehearsals when you're meeting people. Do you find that the workload has increased at all outside of the rehearsal room, or do you tend to do most of your stuff in there now? So you prepare and then it's in the room, or are you the sort of person that is going over and over stuff up to the last minute?
Yeah, I think as a person in terms of learning material and getting things in my body, I'm very much a get up and do it type of person. So I find that once we start blocking, I know my entrance and exits and different who I'm working with, it kind of sits with me quicker when I'm doing that. But before you go into rehearsal, definitely, working through the script, thinking through the ideas and try and do as much work outside of the room as you can. And then obviously once you've had a day's rehearsal, you're making your notes, you're going back in the evening, maybe on the train, on the tube, wherever you're going, and just sort of looking over things or thinking over things about, what went well today, what the notes were, things they're looking for. And then also what other actors give you, because, you can sit in your room at home until you've done the job and work it all out and think, and then you work across from an actor that gives it the line in a completely different way. You hadn't even thought it could be done like that. And then that informs you how you then respond. And that goes the same actually. I know we're talking about rehearsals, but when you're in a show and a cover goes on, it changes you as a performer. So in The Bodyguard, we have the amazing Adam Garcia playing Frank, the bodyguard. And he's fantastic, and I play across him. But he's shorter than me, and so my Tony, when he's on, kind of when he first appears, is almost a bit kind of like mocking, like, who's this guy, this little guy in the suit? And then one of the lines is, she says, "I thought you'd be bigger." But then the cover is Matt Milburn, who normally plays Cy, but he's an inch taller than me. So when he went on, I found myself, for the first time he went on, being a bit put out and going, "Oh, hang on, this guy's a bit." So Tony got a bit trying to puff himself up, and so you just kind of, it's interesting. So going back to the rehearsal room, you feed off that as well, and what the sort of the general vibe of the production is as well. So then you sort of go home and rethink things and think, okay, well, they were doing that, I could maybe try this, and that maybe that will work. And so, yeah, I think, so for me, as I've got older, there's definitely more work goes on outside of the rehearsal room than when I was younger, for sure.
Yeah. And from what you're saying, it sounds like that keeps it fresh when you're responding to what the other actors are giving you, especially when you're in performance. That's one of the lovely things. And I've experienced that myself, where even when you're in a long run of something, if you're opposite someone who is really great and they really listen to you, it's fresh all the time. And you're like, wow, what am I getting tonight? This is cool.
Yeah. And exactly. And I think sometimes as well, I've been hearing about this a bit recently, or looking into it a bit, is it kind of, life goes on outside of this rehearsal room or a tour, or whatever it is. And some days on a long run, you're going to go in and you've had, an awful day, you've had some bad news, or, people have annoyed you, or you're feeling unwell, or you're feeling bad about yourself. We've all got our own insecurities, and sometimes being on stage can be a very exposing place if you're living in that kind of day where you're having a bad day about something. And, you feel like that old saying of Dr. Theatre, whatever it is, the show must go on, and you're supposed to kind of put that to one side and just be the performer. But actually, if you can embody that and bring that to your character, maybe, for example, Tony, he's having a bad day that day as well. And there's a scene I do actually where I go on to do, where I hear this noise, and basically Rachel and Frank are having a bit of an argument. And then she tells me to deal with him, and then he tries to order me around, and I confront him. So I'm still playing the scene as it's directed, but I've been given kind of different intentions inside myself that it just freshens it up and stuff. And so to the audience or to whoever, you wouldn't know there's anything different on, but it might be, that you've just had some really good news, and then you see him and he's ruined your day, or actually you had a really bad day and he's a cherry on the top of the cake, whatever it is. But just doing that keeps it alive. And also you start noticing that, the good actors, they pick up on that and they give you something different back. And it's, and then you come off stage, that worked well, whatever. So yeah, you've got to do that. And I think in rehearsal, that's the thing. Going back to the drama school thing, I didn't really appreciate when I was younger or understand, but rehearsal should be about playing and exploring and being imperfect and getting things wrong, almost like life. You've got to learn from the mistakes and have the bravery to make those mistakes, and to offer something up that you think might work, that could be awful or be bad, and not be worried about other people's opinions. And that's a really hard place to get to because it's quite, you feel it's a career where everyone's sort of showing the best of themselves and they've got this great talent, and you don't want to get it wrong. But then you also, by not doing that, you're not giving the directors or the piece or yourself the chance to really kind of give the best of yourself. And so if you can go in there and be brave and just make some bold choices, even if it doesn't work and everyone laughs about it, and it's fine, okay, we tried that doesn't work. But then sometimes out of those mistakes and those brave moments, you find something really good, that really lands. Yeah.
And can I ask you, it's on a slight tangent from what you just said, but there was something I heard today, and they were talking about how people are burning out because they found that even though people are trying to be authentic online, it's still a performance. And so much of what's happening on social media now is everyone trying to show the best of themselves, even when they're trying to be authentic. Yeah. And I just wonder whether that sometimes, especially in our industry, has an impact, because with actors, there is an expectation now to be visible, to be on the social platforms and things.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, obviously, when we were in drama school, it wasn't quite as, social media was just sort of starting off over here, wasn't it, really? You know, I mean, Facebook came in while we were at, drama school, I think 2007. And then
We still
Instagram
had
and
the
that sort of thing
slate and the little chalkboard thing, didn't we? And it
Yeah,
was,
we did. Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was someone in the
Pigeons. We
corner.
just send pigeons.
Yeah.
I smoke signals them. But no, but you think, like, you know, we still had like MySpace and Bebo and all those sort of things. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh man, but it was, yeah, no, but now I think there is, yeah, there's this kind of undercurrent of pressure to be present and to promote yourself and build your profile and, you know, be seen with the right people at the right places and in the right shows and all that stuff. And there's, you know, especially musical theatre, there's a more than a handful of performers that are really successful now and are great performers, and they've got quite a good social media following. And actually some of them we went to drama school with, you know, like you're thinking like Joel and Brad and, you know, people like that. They're out there and Luke Kempner and you know, all these people, you know, and they're doing great work and they've got good followings. And so, you know, they're there doing a lot of content and doing lots of different things, and they're sort of going from different jobs to jobs. So you could sit there and think, God, I've got to be doing this as well. And I think, it makes you then, I mean, the amount of Instagram things that I've done and deleted and haven't ever posted because I'm like, I just, you know, I feel this pressure. Oh, I've got to get my followers up. And I'm thinking, I don't know why. I don't not bother. I mean, I'm somewhere around 900 followers, which in the grand scheme of things is quite low, but it's actually, you know, that's 900 people. That's a lot, you know, but it's, you know, people have got 10, you know, 20, 30, 40,000 more, you know, and then there's this whole rhetoric of, oh, people get jobs based on their followers and stuff now, which I think there maybe is some jobs and some things where that is true. And I think the bums on seats thing has always been true, regardless of whether it's social media or TV or whatever. If you've got a person in your show that's going to, you know, bring their fan base to the show, the producers are going to want that, you know, because why would you not? To get people to come to your show and buy your tickets, you know, you need the selling point in this if the show's not as well known or whatever it is, or has been around for a long time. Yeah, that's always been the case. I don't think that's social media is just a new version of that, but I don't know how useful it is in terms of getting jobs or not. I mean, what do you think about it? Do you think I can't decide?
There was a moment a few years ago where a casting came through, and I saw on it that it was asking for how many Instagram followers you had, and this was just on a casting, and there was a well-known actress who had commented on it as well, and we had a bit of a chat about it, and we were just like, we can't believe that is now happening, because sure, that's great for producers and stuff to get people in, but does there come a tipping point where you go, out of this performer and this performer, I'm going to take that one because they've got more people that follow them? It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there is. I mean, because I mean, I'm thinking as you're speaking there, like I kind of alluded to just now, that there was a period of time where I don't know if you felt this, but all of the sort of lead roles in theatre were going to people that had been in TV or soap or something like that at that time, or X Factor or whatever it had been. And I remember the conversations years ago, people going, blooming hell, you know, these people like, and if they were like, you know, have the skill set and they're right for it, people were like, okay, fine. But there's often quite a few that weren't really right for the role, but they had the name, and it would be like, as seen on whatever, you know, and it's kind of, I just wonder if that's like the new version of social media, is a new version of that. But I don't know though, because I think, you know, like if you think of in our industry, in the musical theatre industry, you've got people like, you know, like Carol Fletcher, who's married to Joel, and Jamie Moscato, who I did Les Mis with, and Brad Jaden, and, you know, they often get cast in all these different shows and stuff, and their sort of careers are just, you know, incredible. but then you watch them work and they're really good. I mean, they know their stuff, they're trained, they put their years and they've done it. They just happen to have a following now. So then I think it's kind of a self-perpetuating circle where they become this generation's Michael Ball, for example, who, was sort of, or whoever. And so,
it's when it comes from the other side and you have, say, perhaps reality TV people, or I have seen some people that have been on like Love Island or whatever have then.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah. That's when it becomes, that's when it becomes the thing where you go, okay, that's frustrating, because you don't mind when it's the people that have, fantastic and they've just got a great career because they're great. Like you say, when it's like an influencer or someone from The Only Way Is Essex or something. No, not to single that show out, but I hate that. It boils my blood. I can't bear it. But it's no offense to anyone who's on it, but I just can't bear it. So maybe that's it. And I don't know, social media thing. I mean, I don't know if you feel like this, but it kind of perplexes me. There's some guys in our cast who are like, right, they're of the age that can do it really well, and they're doing it, and they've got all these sort of, get ready with me and come with me to do this and fit checks and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I can't do that, can I? Oh, it's a little fit check or wearing the same old hoodie and a pair of jeans and trainers and a cap. Yes.
I don't know where people find the time in the day to do that, because I'm trying to juggle everything else and all these things and submissions and that for parts and things and all that. And I'm just like, I don't have time to set up a camera and then change angles and all this kind of.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And the whole of, come with me when I go to the shops, forget why I went there and came back with what I didn't need. That's what my video would be. I just don't know. I think you've got to kind of, so I suppose it relates to the rehearsals we're talking about with social media. You've got to kind of get over that. You've got to get over yourself and just try and make content that is engaging and people want to see and look forward to seeing and gives them some value, and you take yourself out of it and don't worry, because if you put something online, even this, interview, people are going to, one way or another, going to like it or not like it or judge it or whatever it is. You can't control that. But that fear of being judged or being, getting it wrong or looking stupid or whatever often makes me go, nah, I'm not putting anything on this show. But then I go, I'm still under 1,000 followers. But I don't put enough on there, because so you've got to find a way. So that transfers into the rehearsal room in the same way that if you don't take those risks, then you don't always get seen. You get lost in the production. Sometimes you have to sort of, your role has to be. I learned the hard way from that with Les Mis, because Les Mis was the dream show for me. It's a show that got me started. So my mum bought me VHS for our younger viewers. It's like Netflix, but it's actually physical form. That's the point about. And it was on the 10th anniversary Les Mis concert, and I absolutely devoured this thing every day, and singing it and doing it. And the role of Javert was just the role. I was like, I need to do that role. The role is Javert for me, and that got me started. And I really liked Michael Ball as well, which is why I went to GSA, because that's where he went. So I was like tunnel vision on GSA and all that. And then it took me, to the 25th anniversary year to get into the show. So quite a few years after that. And in the auditions, I got the recall, which was great, but they sent me all the cover material for Valjean. I was like, okay. And I knew the show so well, so I knew the stuff, but I was Javert in my head, so I went in there and I did what I did, and they were sort of going, give us more. Come on, give us more. Give us something, he's more visceral, he's more this. And so, but I couldn't let myself go enough to really go, and do what I need to do and unrealistic. And I was kind of just doing a performance of what I thought I should be doing, but kind of here. So they cast me in the show as the foreman in Brujon, but they unusually said, we're still going to audition you again in rehearsals for the cover of Valjean. So I was like, oh, okay. So we did the first week of rehearsals. I'd been a bit unwell. I sort of got it in my head that, that imposter syndrome in my head a little bit again. And we came to do the Valjean audition again at the end of the first week of rehearsals. And again, I just didn't go far enough. I just couldn't get myself to go there because I was too like, oh, and I could see, and I can almost tell they wanted me to do it. They're like, come on. And I didn't do it. And then as my friend who'd worked with them before was in the show, Adam, who's a fantastic performer, he went up and sung for them, and then they gave him the second cover, and rightly so, because he did a good job. But he wasn't, he's sort of a natural Valjean actor that would have played the role, but and he only ever went on once in the whole tour. It was in my hometown, in my home theatre. For once, I would have been on for that, but I just couldn't get myself there. And I always think back to that and think, if you can just get over yourself and do stuff, you can achieve great things. But if you don't, they then go, I don't know, is he gonna, you know what I mean? Has he got it, or whatever. So that's I think a really good bit of advice when you go into anything, rehearsals or auditions, is just try to focus on the piece, the work, and what they want, and try and take yourself. I don't mean take yourself as in, every role you put yourself into, but take your demons out of it. And it's so hard to do. And I think you learn it as you go along. And I still haven't achieved it fully at all. But I think, that's over the years, it can cause you to be really frustrated with yourself after, because you think, God, I know I can do it. I know I can do this. And so if you can go in as prepared as you can be brave, take yourself out of it and just focus on the work and just, and respond to what's there, then rehearsals can be really fun. If you don't do that, they can be really scary.
So can I ask you, what's the scariest rehearsal you've ever had? Have you had one?
Let me think. Scariest rehearsal. Well, yeah, I guess I have 100%. I was doing Rock of Ages for Norwegian Cruise Line, and the director of the Broadway production, Kristin, she normally would come in and work with different casts. We were the fourth cast that did it, and it was an even split, like 7 Brits, and then I think 5 or 6 Americans, and then like an Aussie or something like that. And there was a couple of people that had done it before and stuff here and there, but we didn't have her come in because she was engaged in another contract at that time. So we had associate director and choreographer, and associate director Rai, who sadly passed away now. But he was, for me, like, nice guy, but he was showing me videos of the guy that did it before. So it's like this, and it was like, and he said things like, "It's more in the pocket. It's more in the pocket," and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try. And I was doing an American accent, but obviously doing an American accent over in America with Americans, there's an element of like, it's easier to feel like you can get found out like that. And I'm somebody that I think, with accents, I've always been able to pick them up and do them, but I've always, again, been my own worst enemy, is thinking like, oh, God, I'm never quite happy with it. And I've always think that people are going to be thinking, oh, that's a bit rubbish. But then you get people saying, oh, you're really good at accents. I think, okay, fine. But in my head, I go, oh God. So I was doing this rehearsal one day, and I'm playing Dennis, and I'm mid-scene, and he stops the rehearsal, and he says, Jonathan, he said, can you just do it English? Just do it in English, do an English accent. Just pick it back up. I was like, I literally, in my head, I was like spiraling, like, oh, shut up. So then you're then trying to do the rehearsal with half the room being American, feeling like you've just been told with no uncertain terms that your accent is utter crap, and then trying to do the lines in a British accent, which you haven't
really done. So your mind is going.
So you then you can't even do a British accent because you don't know, am I doing London or am I doing? So it was awful, and I just went home that night to the digs where we were staying. Just chatting to my mates, and I said that I was so annoyed. I was just like, oh my God. But anyway, the next day I went back to American again, and then I stayed as American for the rest of rehearsals. But it was always in the back of my head, and until we got onto the ship, and on a rotation, we had to, at the end of the show, there'd be 2 of us, and we'd be on a rota, and you'd have to run up through the audience as quick as you could at the end and get to the top of the stairs, because then 4 of us, sorry, 2 on each side, and you'd have photographs with the passengers as they came out in your costume, like a little photo op and stuff, and then they could go buy them from the shop and everything. And quite a few times at the beginning and throughout the thing, the Americans be like, oh my God, you're British. You're like, yeah, oh my God, I had no idea. And you go, oh, good, thanks. And it was a real kind of validation of like, oh God, thank God, because, it was, that was really, really tough, that rehearsal process, because it just, and sometimes they'd be sitting there like this, like doing the like this, doing that, and they'd be going, okay, do this, do that, do this, do this. And my friend Phil, never forget this. He was playing Hertz, and he stood there, and they stopped the rehearsal to do something, and they were looking at and they're doing this stuff, and they're talking, and they gave him some instructions, and he just stood there. He's a British guy, a Welsh guy, and he just stood there. And they go, okay, can you do this? And then they suddenly looked up and went, oh, hi, what do you want? And literally like made a point of the fact that he goes, if you want to talk to me, can you just look at me? And I was like, fucking hell. But it was a kind of fair point because, you know, they're just kind of like chaps down here. And it was, but yeah, so it was a bit of the rehearsal was a bit sort of tough for that one at times, but also really enjoyable. We had a lot of fun. Yeah. But yeah, that's always tough when you think the director or somebody on the creatives is not having you or not thinking it's, God, that's tough. You know,
especially when you've got a row of faces there and there might just be one and everyone else could be smiling and there's one that's just stony faced and that's where your eyes will go and that's where your mind goes and you're like
100%.
Why don't they like me?
Yeah, especially when you got like ADHD. So you're just like, there's one person. You know, you have 20,000 people smiling at you, there's one person that can grump you like, what's it?
Yeah.
But there's a lesson with that one as well. I found that. So for Billy Elliot, Julian Weber, who was the associate director, incredibly eccentric, wonderful, off the wall guy, right? You know, swearing and you know, and in the auditions, I was like, this guy's not having me. Like, I did my first audition, I sang a bit of song, and he went, no, stop. Two musical theatre. Do it again. I was like, okay. And I did it again, and he went, having enough movement to be okay with. Thank you. I was just like, fucking hell, those guys not having me at all. And I went out, and then I got cast anyway after I think 7 auditions. And then,
7.
but then they told me that, they said, oh, you had it after the second one. We loved you. And I was just like, but we got into our first week of rehearsals, and he was sort of I hadn't worked with him yet, and he was sort of in and about again, just like not talking and looking. I was thinking, oh God, man, this thing. But actually, he was so on my side. Like, he literally, like, we had so many great chats. The role I was playing was Big Davy, which is, you know, like the friend of the family. He was putting me front and center. He was giving me lines to sing that on my own as Big Davy that normally is like a group thing, and just really, really championed me in the show. And he made me feel so kind of like, oh my God, this guy really wants me here. This guy, you know, and it meant so much. And, you know, the rest of the creators were just amazing. I mean, Billy Elliot's been a great show, and it's, you know, and we're still like a family now. That's the one sort of WhatsApp group that's really still active. And so all of the creators, but he was the one that you think, God, he could be, honestly, he was so great for me in that show and so lovely. And there was a point where we did 18 months. And this is when I ended up doing my career break. I had a bit of a tough time in life at that point, and I was sort of a bit weary, and I was the first actor on stage. And there's a couple of times where I was about to start the show, and I'd be like, and I was thinking, God, that's not me. I love doing this. And so I thought I need to maybe take a break here. So we'd done 18 months, and there was a 3-month extension, and they asked me if I wanted to do it. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. And I said a couple of times. And I remember sitting in Manchester, and the phone rang, and it was him threatening. He's like, can I swear on here? No.
Yeah.
He's like, Jonathan, it's Julian. And I was like, hi. He said, yes. Are you doing this fucking extension or not? I just went, no, I'm not doing it. He goes, right, I have to fucking recast. And so anyway, I'm in Italy now. I'm about to go and have a dentist, at a point where I have my teeth out and I don't speak Italian. So that's fucking great, isn't it? Love you. Goodbye. It was just so funny, but he was just like, he wanted me to do it, and I think word got back to him, I wasn't doing it. He thought, I'm going to call him, and I was like, I can't. But it's so funny. But yeah, so sometimes, you know, people have resting faces or have other things going on in their life, and you can again put yourself in it and think, oh, it's about me. And actually, often that's another good thing for rehearsal, actually, to as advice, is the directors, the choreographers, all these people. They've got this whole show, this whole jigsaw, this whole moving piece with all these different departments that are trying to gel together. And so there's all this stuff. And it's so easy as an actor to think it's all about you, to think that this director's writing something and he's talking, it's a mystery about me. Even when you're not in the scene, I've done it. I've gone like, oh, are they talking? It's so stupid because it's not. They've got so much on their plate and there's so much they're thinking about that actually, even if they're giving you a note or they're thinking about something that's not quite right, it's so like low importance for them in terms of they care, but they've got, it's not like the big deal you can make it out to be sometimes. And I've not been too bad at that, but I've definitely caught myself doing it over the years. And so again, it's like trying to just focus on the character, focus on the work and try not get in your own head, which is really hard as a young actor when you just come out of drama school or whatever, especially if you haven't been landing auditions much or something, and then you finally get that role. It feels so, oh my God, there's so much on this. This isn't the start of but you get a series of like breaks and, and I've done sort of 2, maybe 3 sort of mini career breaks and had to sort of come back to the industry. And I've been lucky enough that every time I've done it, I've managed to get work again and an agent and stuff. But, sometimes things can set you back, but you always, the career's still there and you can still do it. You just have to find your way back into it,
Yeah. And I think that's a real wonderful thing for people to hear from you directly, that you can step away and have a break and look after yourself, your mental health, which is so important. Real big on champion that at the moment. And then coming back.
We did that. Do you remember we did that Actors Assemble, didn't we, in lockdown? Where that's sort of based around mental health of the actors, and it was just a place to talk about stuff and then, became something where we actually did a couple of workshops and some people did their audition pieces, whatever. But yeah, you're right. I think sometimes you have to, in this industry, this whole thing of momentum and, building and profile and stuff, you kind of get, oh God, I've got to keep going. But actually there comes a point where, we sacrifice a lot doing this industry, right? Because your drama school is like 3 years and courses before, and then you're doing like evenings, weekends and then all the training outside of it and everything else. That sometimes just having that, maybe even if it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, just step away, go and do something like, normal life, whatever you want to call it, can actually help you learn a lot about yourself. And it can actually almost advance you as a performer and make you just realize that you're either going to miss it and you're going to go, God, that's who I've had that. I've stepped away. And then there's come at that point where I've gone, oh, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I've always been. I have to go back to it because everything else I'm doing is actually making me more and more miserable from not doing this. But it actually is good to then give you that perspective. So when you go back into the industry, if you do, I've had a couple of moments on this tour where, you've maybe done, loads of shows and it's, you're sort of having a bad day. I had it a few weeks back and, a bit of stuff going on that was in my life that I was thinking, oh God, this is, tricky. And then we're bowing at the end of the show. And I just thought, bloody hell, like I'm here again doing theatre, which is what my dream was always to be. And, 6 months before I was, being a teaching assistant or delivering parcels for Every or working, in a restaurant. And these jobs I was thinking, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Is not who I am. And now I'm here receiving applause and in the show, in the professional tour, and I've got an agent. So it helps you just to have that bit of perspective to go, do you know what? I'm doing all right. This is, to realize that you are lucky. But yeah, I would always advise that to people if they want to have a little pause or a break to do it, because it does feel like, God, I'll get forgotten about in the industry and everything else, but you don't, if especially if you've had a few jobs under your belt and stuff as well. I think when you first start out, it's good to kind of get your face out there and get some connections and sort of have a few jobs and stuff. But then after a while, maybe having a little break for something is not a bad thing. I know lots of people that have done that and come back and carried on with their careers and everything else. And it's definitely worth that little break, I think, because it gives you a little bit of perspective, and to focus on yourself. When I did the first break I did, was like a very mini one in about 2013, I got myself into really good shape and I was getting sort of the money sorted out and everything else like that. And it was very useful. I mean, unfortunately at that time I had a bit of a tragedy in my life and lost somebody, and that sort of set me back a bit with the mental health side of it. But and then that sort of thing that ultimately led to the proper career break a few years later. But it's sort of recognizing that and going, do you know what? I just need to stop a little bit and just breathe. And the first thing I did when I did my career break was to go and just volunteer at the RSPCA and walk dogs and sit in the kennels with dogs.
Oh,
Because you can't, because I've not been able to have a dog in my life, because of, I just don't have the lifestyle at the moment to be able to look after them properly.
Yeah.
And I think it's always about, the animal, but it was just like, it was amazing just walking these dogs and just, that was it, but then after a while, you have to do the other jobs to get the money coming in. You're like, I want to get
Yeah,
back to being allowed to,
yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah.
So I'm going to start kind of bringing us nearly to wrapping up. But it
Well,
just
that
gave me
was.
an idea as we were talking, that perhaps at some time I'll arrange a chat where maybe there'll be 4 or 5 of us, and we can perhaps talk about actually the balance of the life of a performer and having to pick up and put down work. Because, like you say, 1 minute you're on stage in front of 1,000 people taking a bow, next thing you're behind the bar again, or you're in a classroom as a teaching assistant or something. And
I had the worst one I had, well, not worst one, but the most stark one I had was on the Les Mis thing. We did the tour, we finished the tour, and then the day after we finished the tour was the O2 concerts. And then we had two performances, and we're on the stage, 20,000 people, O2 arenas, Con Wilkinson, Michael Ball, Cameron, all these people that are in the 10th anniversary video, and I'm there on stage with them performing, like, whoa, mad. Next day, I'm literally on my friend's sofa, nowhere to live, no job, just like waking up going like, it's like,
what is my life?
Contrast. And that's the hardest thing, I think. Well, one of the hardest things in this industry is the knowing what's next. If you're lucky enough to know your next job and you've got a couple of jobs lined up, then brilliant. But otherwise, you go, well, at the end of this tour, I'm going to have to do something. Where's it going to be? What am I going to do? You've got to be close to lunch, all that sort of stuff. So it's the unpredictability of trying to make plans with how you're going to, get the other things in life that you want. Like you've got a partner, you want to, you want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to go on holidays, you want to buy a hat, whatever it is. It's quite tricky if you're in that sort of 9 to 5 job and that's your career and you're going to build up and get your promotions and stuff, you can kind of work out the next few years, go, okay, I'll stick with this. But with acting, you don't really know. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be one of the actors that, has a load of gigs lined up, then great. But it doesn't always happen like that. You normally have 6 months in between where you don't know what you're doing. And so yeah, I think that'd be a really good chat,
Yeah, that'd be great. So I will put that in the pipeline. I'll get to work on it. Now, normally what I would do now is ask you a bunch of questions. I don't have my book with my questions in, so I'm going to do it off the top of my head.
Love it. Freestyle.
So I don't know if you ever watched the Actors Studio, and they used to they did the questions. So I'm going to see what questions I can remember. So Jonathan,
okay. Yes,
what would be your favourite sound?
Well, favorite sound. It's probably a fart. Yeah.
And what would be your least favourite sound?
Oh, the beep you get in your ear in a call centre when the next call's coming through.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Or people chewing loudly, eating. Oh,
yeah, not good. Favourite word?
Rumbunctious.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was going to say moist, but people because it's when I say it because people go like that way. No, not in that way. Don't.
No. Least favourite word?
Least favourite words. Fear.
A job that you would love to do if you weren't a performer?
Oh, I would love to run an animal sanctuary.
I can see you doing that. You should do that alongside it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A job that you definitely would not like to do?
Oh, work in a slaughterhouse or an animal testing facility. Obviously.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Yeah. They shouldn't. Let's not get on to. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not do
yeah. Next question is favorite curse word. Go on, give me a favorite curse word.
It depends on what I'm cursing for, but I mean, I think if it's one where someone's really done wrong and that generally done wrong, they're horrible, then the C word, isn't it? It's quite It's gonna be.
Yeah.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have to save that for specific people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then.
And so if you, at the end of your life, if there was some sort of a review and there was someone there with a big book saying, oh, so Jonathan, this is what you did during your life, what would you like them to say to you?
As in what I've done or about me?
Or, as in, so to wrap everything up.
Okay. So I would say that you did your best. You were a good friend, a good husband, a good dad, and a good actor.
Way. Love it. Love all of it. Well, Jonathan, my absolute dear, lovely, beautiful friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Just so good to see you.
Yes, and
By the
it's
way, is
lovely
that
to
your
see-
tartan behind you? I just noticed you got a tartan behind. Does that just come up? Has that been
No,
there
that's
the whole
always been
time?
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even notice that. Is that to do with you? Like your own tartan, or is it just a tartan?
No, it's just a tartan.
It's just a tartan.
I
Love a
needed a
tartan.
background, really. I'm in a
Why
static
not
caravan at
tartan?
the minute. I needed a background. I was like, whack up that up. There we are.
I love it. I love
But
it.
like a good actor, I brought my my light ring and my tripod and everything with me.
I'm using the natural light of the Warwickshire sky at the moment. Or something.
Oh, I thought that was just the light from heaven shining upon your beauteous face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not covering anything though, is it? Anyway. So lovely to
Anyway,
speak to you, mate.
thank you so much, and catch you anon.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Love. Bye bye.
Bye.